Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live Interactive English. I am Shane.
And I am Nina.
Ooh, today we're going to be talking about the Happy Prince.
Ooh, a prince.
A prince? Oh, you seem to be pretty excited about the topic of a prince.
I'm still looking for my ideal prince.
Well, what characteristics would your Prince Charming have?
I would say obviously rich and handsome.
Obviously? Well,
no.
Well, usually when you do think about a prince, you do think of somebody obviously who's rich,
Yeah.
has a lot of money, and they should be handsome in a fairy tale.
Yeah.
In real life, there are princes who are not that handsome.
Yeah, that's true. But no, I was kidding. I would say my ideal prince would be very kind, treats me very well, treats me like a princess.
Oh, you need to be treated like a princess.
I mean, it's always nice for a guy to open the door for you, be a gentleman and a kind person, disciplined, funny, things like that.
Okay, disciplined.
Yeah.
Okay, and should be a good leader? I mean, like if you think about a prince, somebody who can lead people, or
No,
that's
he would
not
let
important.
me lead.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So the princess will be in charge.
Exactly, that's how it should be. I mean, at least in my fairy tale world, so.
Well, unfortunately, this prince is talking about a statue.
Oh, is it?
And not a real person, but I'm sure it was based on a real person
Okay.
who was once alive.
All right, let's find out more about it then.
Okay.
In a city in northern Europe, a beautiful statue of a prince stood high on top of a column. He was covered in gold, had sapphires for eyes, and carried a sword with a ruby on its hilt. One night, a tired swallow landed at the prince's feet. The swallow was struck by a drop of water, and when he looked up, he saw tears coming from the statue's eyes. "Who are you?" the swallow asked. "I am the Happy Prince," the statue replied. "Why are you weeping then?" asked the swallow. The prince explained that he never experienced sadness while he was alive.
All right, so the Happy Prince.
Okay, and you mentioned it was a statue, so I'm curious to find out what kind of statue
Can
is this.
statues be happy? It's like an inanimate object.
Maybe if it has a huge smile.
Oh, I guess if you look at it and he looks happy, then it's happy.
Yeah, I guess let's find out, right?
All right, why don't we go ahead and read?
Okay. In a city in northern Europe, a beautiful statue of a prince stood high on top of a column. Huh.
Okay, so our first vocabulary word is statue. So a statue, yeah, and then if you move, then you become a robot.
Yeah, so just stay there.
Okay, so a statue is, usually it just stays there, right?
Yeah, it doesn't move. It's usually like a stone, right?
If it starts moving, you should probably
Run.
You should probably run the other way.
Yeah.
But a statue is usually made out of could be some kind of metal or stone, something like that.
Yeah.
And typically, it's in the form of like a person or an animal.
Yeah,
Right?
typically. Have you seen those statues where you think it's a statue and then suddenly they move? It's like a human, a performer, right?
Yeah, they have that kind of thing, like in danshui or in in tourist attractions or in tourist areas. They'll have that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And the purpose usually for a statue is to commemorate something.
Yeah, or maybe sometimes it's just it looks good, it's for
Decoration.
Exactly, decorations or aesthetics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the example sentence we have here: the university removed the statue of a former slave owner from its campus.
Ooh.
Good idea.
Very, very good idea. This sounds familiar. I feel like I've seen this in a series somewhere where that happened.
Oh, I have the same.
Switched at birth?
I don't know, but I
For
think
me, it
I've
was
seen
that
it too.
one. Yeah, okay. And the other word is column. So column is a noun. It's a tall, upright, vertical stone post used as a support for a roof. So for example, most houses, they have their columns. It helps support the building, right?
Right.
But usually you would try to design the room to have more space, so the columns would be where the wall is, if you've noticed.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just used for support, right?
Yeah, or it can also be a vertical division of a page or text. Like that would be the columns, right?
If we're looking at text editing or something like that. And
or on newspaper, there are different columns for stories, right?
And sometimes they'll refer to the column as the article itself.
Yeah,
you could say there was a good column in the newspaper today.
Exactly. And another example would be Alexis admired the marble columns of the ancient building. Sometimes columns can just be for decoration, like back in ancient buildings, Greek style architecture, you would see like the really cool design in front, right?
Right, in the front of there. It's probably also being used as support, but it doesn't need to be so fancy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue reading. He was covered in gold, had sapphires for eyes, and carried a sword with a ruby on its hilt. Okay.
Looks very fancy. Sounds like it.
Yeah, so sapphires, rubies, these are like precious stones.
Yeah.
Do you know what color a sapphire is?
I think it's blue, isn't it?
Yeah. How about a ruby?
Red.
Ruby red.
Yes.
Right. Okay. One night, a tired swallow landed at the prince's feet.
Okay.
Swallow's a kind of bird.
Yeah, let's see what happens. The swallow was struck by a drop of water, and when he looked up, he saw tears coming from the statue's eyes.
Wait a second.
What?
If I saw tears coming from a statue's eyes, phew, I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's scary. That's super scary. Okay. So the swallow says, "Who are you?" the swallow asked.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ask questions. I think I would still just probably run away.
Yeah, this reminds me of the scene in Hercules where Hercules talks to his statue dad and suddenly he comes alive.
Okay, so, I am the happy prince, the statue replied. Okay, so now he's talking. Not only is he crying, but now he started talking.
Yeah, I think we can officially say this is a fictional story.
Yeah, I don't think this is like a documentary based on real events. Why are you weeping then? Asked the swallow. The prince explained that he never experienced sadness while he was alive.
Wow, okay. So he was super happy when he was alive.
Right.
Okay, and he never experienced being sad, so he never cried.
Right.
Maybe now that he's a statue, it's just accumulated.
Yeah, well, I think maybe we'll find out.
Yeah.
So why was he? So we have a vocabulary word.
Weep. Okay, so weep is a verb. It just means to cry. When you shed tears or cry tears, that's weeping.
Then you're weeping. So yeah, you could just use it interchangeably for the word cry, right?
Exactly. So an example sentence is, the movie's sad ending made me weep like a baby. Oh. So Shane, do you ever cry during sad movies?
Oh, I'm such a crybaby.
Really?
When I watch movies. If it's real life, almost nothing can make me cry.
Really?
Yeah, I want to cry, but it's like, I don't...
You hold it in?
Hold it in, and I'm not trying to hold it in. I just don't know how to cry. I think maybe other guys who are watching, you might have this also. I don't know if it's because we're taught not to cry.
Interesting.
But for some reason, if I'm watching a movie and it's happening to somebody else, then I cry.
But is someone usually next to you when you cry, when you're watching a movie?
Yeah. So I don't mind crying, but when something bad happens to me, I won't cry.
Okay, to you, then you won't cry.
Right.
I mean, I guess it's because, most boys feel like they cannot cry, but I disagree.
Boys are not supposed to cry?
Aww.
I disagree too. So I want to cry, but I can't. So maybe when I watch movies, that's like my way to, it's like an outlet.
Let it out.
It's an outlet for me when I watch movies.
Aw, that's so sweet. Yeah, I think I rarely cry unless the scene is actually super emotional. And even if I do, I just maybe shed one little tear.
Well, how about in real life?
In real life, I'm crying all the time.
That's so weird. So it's like the opposite.
Exactly. But yeah, let's find out more about this statue after the break.
Okay, let's go have a good cry, okay?
Okay.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这一次要读的故事是爱尔兰作家王尔德的作品，叫做《The Happy Prince》快乐王子。那故事场景是在北欧的一个城市里，有一尊美丽的王子雕像，他高高矗立在一根圆柱上，那么全身覆盖着黄金，双眼是蓝宝石，还拿着一把剑，然后剑柄上面有镶着红宝石。我们来看两个单字 ，statue 就是雕像。Shane 老师他提到雕像是无生命的物品，他说 inanimate object。animate A-N-I-M-A-T-E 它是形容有生命的活的，在前面加上否定字首 I-N 构成 inanimate 它是形容无生命的。好，那老师还提到说雕像可能是为了要纪念或者是为了美观，这时候老师用到 commemorate 这个动词 C-O-M-M-E-M-O-R-A-T-E commemorate 表示纪念，还有这个 aesthetics A-E-S-T-H-E-T-I-C-S Aesthetics 它是指美感、美学的意思。好，那下一个单词 column 在这边呢，它不是指这种报纸上面的专栏，而是指说这个柱或者是圆形的这种石柱或是纪念柱。Nina 老师这时候用到两个形容词来描述，一个是 upright。up 跟 right 合在一起变一个副词，它表示是直立的、挺直的，也可以当形容词来用。那么 vertical V-E-R-T-I-C-A-L vertical 则是形容垂直的。那故事就接着写到说，有一天晚上，一只疲惫的燕子飞落在王子的脚边，那燕子就被一滴水这样打到，咚！然后当他一抬头，就看到泪水从雕像的眼里流下来，燕子就问他是谁，为什么在哭泣呢？雕像回答说他是快乐王子，他在世的时候呢，从来没有经历过悲伤，现在他可能累积了很多情绪，突然悲从中来了。Nina 老师他用到 accumulate 这个动词 A-C-C-U-M-U-L-A-T-E accumulate 它表示累积、积聚的意思。好，那么单字 weep 它表示哭泣、流泪，它的三态是 weep、wept。那我们其实也可以用 shed tears 来表达流眼泪。这个 shed 它是拼作 S-H-E-D 表示流下或是流出的意思。那么动词三态相同，我们接着滑课文中。
From his perch, however, he was able to witness all the sorrows in the city, and though his heart was now made of lead, he couldn't help but cry. The prince begged the swallow to take the ruby from his sword and give it to an overworked seamstress who was unable to take care of her ill son. The swallow declined at first. The weather was becoming too cold for him, and he had to fly away for the winter. But the prince looked so sad that the swallow agreed. He removed the ruby and took it to the seamstress.
Welcome back.
Yes, so we were talking about the happy prince, right?
Not so happy, actually.
Not so happy, yeah. So the statue comes to life, kind of, and he starts weeping. And the swallow is wondering why this prince is weeping if he used to be so happy when he was alive, right? And I guess we'll find out what was the reason.
Okay. From his perch, however, he was able to witness all the sorrows in the city. And though his heart was now made of lead, he couldn't help but cry.
Aww.
Oh no. So his heart is made of lead. Yeah, because he's a statue, right? So he doesn't have a real heart. He's not really alive, but he's crying.
Because he witnessed all of the sorrow from the city. So what's witness?
Oh, to witness just means to see, right? Basically. And
when you see something happen.
You're a witness, right? Because we have the noun too. To be
Yes.
a witness means that you see something happen.
Exactly.
Usually like a crime or something.
Or an accident. You're a witness to that. But yeah, so he witnessed all of the sorrow in the city. What is sorrow?
So sorrow basically just means sadness.
Aww.
Right? So if we see sadness everywhere, we're seeing sorrow. So for example, you can say the artist's work celebrates both the joys and the sorrows of life.
Aww, okay.
Okay.
And now let's continue. The prince begged the swallow to take the ruby from his sword and give it to an overworked seamstress who was unable to take care of her ill son. Oh my God.
Yeah, okay.
Aw, that's very sweet. So maybe the the son was very ill. She didn't have money.
Money, right, to take care of him.
Yes, so he
ruby
gave the
will
ruby.
be really valuable.
Yeah, you can sell it for a lot of money. Okay. The swallow declined at first. The weather was becoming too cold for him, and he had to fly away for the winter. Okay, so he's like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. It's too cold. I really have to go.
To decline means to say no,
yes,
right?
to say
or to
no.
reject. Right?
Exactly.
Okay, but the prince looked so sad that the swallow agreed.
Aww.
He's like, please, and he's crying. Okay.
I'll do it.
I'll take the ruby. He removed the ruby and took it to the seamstress.
Okay.
So what is a seamstress?
A seamstress is someone who sews things, right?
Right.
Like
Sometimes we call that a tailor too, or no, a tailor.
It's more specific. A tailor is more
for
like
fitting clothes.
for fitting clothes, but a seamstress would usually maybe fix her clothes, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So this is really interesting because he has obviously he was a happy prince, but it seems like he had a really good heart too, right? So.
But maybe he was so like busy with his own life. He didn't really see the sorrows that the rest of the people were going through.
That's the point, because he's kind of like in his castle or
his
whatever.
Palace,
He doesn't really see actually what's happening in real life.
Yes.
So now that he's there above the city and he can see, he's like, oh wow, like I was so happy in my life, but I didn't realize there was so much suffering.
Yeah, so maybe he feels sad now and he wants to give back to the people, but he needs the swallow's help.
Oh, wow. Okay, so at least the swallow is willing to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. He didn't really seem very willing in the beginning.
Yeah.
But hopefully, the cold weather doesn't really affect him that much.
Yeah, I wonder what the swallow is going to get out of this, right? Just going to do a favor for a talking statue?
Yeah, why not? It's a good deed for the day, right?
Okay, well, speaking of the day, well, that's all we have time for right now, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
好，刚刚讲到那一尊美丽的王子雕像，他在哭泣。那他自己解释说，他是快乐王子，在世的时候从来没有经历过悲伤。然而，从他所在的那个高处呢，他能目睹城里面所有悲伤的事。虽然他现在他的心是铅这种金属做的，他还是忍不住哭了起来。那王子就拜托燕子要取下他剑柄上那个红宝石，把这个宝石交给一个劳累过度、没办法照顾生病儿子的女裁缝。那么一开始燕子拒绝，因为天气太冷啦，她还是得飞去温暖的地方过冬嘛。可是看到王子这么伤心，结果她还是答应了。好，文中它用到 seamstress 这个字，它表示女裁缝的意思。那么单字 sorrow 它是名词，表示悲伤的事，这时候是当可数名词，那也可以当不可数名词来表达悲痛、伤心。这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 so 加上形容词或副词加上 that 子句，表示如此怎么样，以至于怎么样，非常怎么样，结果怎么样。那这样的句型是用来强调 so 后面的形容词或副词，说明这个程度很高而造成某种结果。that 子句就是用来表达结果。那不晓得同学们有没有紧张到反胃想吐的经验？那样子的情境，我们可以说I was so nervous that I felt sick. 我非常紧张到想吐。好，那比较一个用法是 so that， 它是表达以便，这样一来怎么样怎么样。那这是用来引导表示目的的副词子句，在美式用法当中 that 常常省略。举例来说，Put on some sunscreen so that you don't get a sunburn， 或者是 so you don't get a sunburn， 擦点防晒乳，这样一来你才不会被晒伤哦。好，那么以上是这个讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
In a city in northern Europe, a beautiful statue of a prince stood high on top of a column. He was covered in gold, had sapphires for eyes, and carried a sword with a ruby on its hilt. One night, a tired swallow landed at the prince's feet. The swallow was struck by a drop of water, and when he looked up, he saw tears coming from the statue's eyes. "Who are you?" the swallow asked. "I am the happy prince," the statue replied. "Why are you weeping then?" asked the swallow. The prince explained that he never experienced sadness while he was alive. From his perch, however, he was able to witness all the sorrows in the city, and though his heart was now made of lead, he couldn't help but cry. The prince begged the swallow to take the ruby from his sword and give it to an overworked seamstress who was unable to take care of her ill son. The swallow declined at first. The weather was becoming too cold for him, and he had to fly away for the winter. But the prince looked so sad that the swallow agreed. He removed the ruby and took it to the seamstress.
Xiaoyeliu Scenic Area is a seaside park. It is situated at the southern end of the East Coast National Scenic Area in Taitung County. This area is famous for the large variety of fascinating rock formations. The rocks in this area consist mostly of sandstone. Sandstone rocks are not common in this area and help create the distinctive environment. Popular rocks include the tofu rock, honeycomb rock, fungus rock, and many more. The Xiaoyeliu Visitor Center features a rock exhibit hall. The exhibit shows the many different types of rocks found in the coastal mountain range. Xiaoyeliu is a great place to explore the unique coastline of the East Coast National Scenic Area.
See you next time!